Anyway, good morning.
Good morning, Greg.
How are you, sir?
I'm good. How's everybody on this call doing right now? Chaim, nice to see you. Hello, everybody. Stacy,
Morning.
Miriam, Ruth. Oh, hold on.
Greetings.
So Marion, God, sorry, too much coffee, too soon. I used you, an example, citing you in a opening statement I gave at the JFNA GA in a session about scenario planning and strategic planning, where I mentioned that you had thanked Brian for the nudge to participate because they were looking for examples of how it was valuable. And I said, well, I didn't participate in it myself. But let me tell you a story about what's going on here in St. Louis.
Happy to help.
Glad it
that
was
was
helpful.
really good.
So if you're-
I unfortunately, my attendance has been not as good as I'd like it to. I had rotator cuff surgery about 10 days ago. So, so I missed the last session, but we do what we can.
all you can do. So if your ear was tingling, it was because I said your name a couple of times. And I
Thank
think
you.
our session, there were 480 people on Zoom from around the country.
I don't think that's why I was tingling. I think it was from the anesthesia.
Well, a speedy recovery to you. And
Thank
Megan, good morning to you as well.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks. I'm here for Nikki Goldstein at Crown Center.
I was going to say, I don't know that I've seen you before.
I apologize. I should have put it in my signature or something.
We welcome everybody.
Thank you very much.
As you can see, Mindy and I are in the parking lot in front of the building.
It's a tailgating kind of morning. I love it.
I love that, Megan. I love it. Greg, if we're sticking to your
Yeah, but
schedule.
it's normal 10:02. It's a thin group this morning, but whatever. So yeah, it's time 10:02. So we'll time to start our weekly call. Other than the fact that, as I mentioned earlier, I used Marion's name in a session we did where Mindy Fredman and Nikki Weinstein from our local federation presented to about 480 people at the GA online. They did an amazing job talking about scenario planning and change management and strategic planning. I don't have a whole lot else other than say the GA online, it was, it was pretty good for being online. So don't know which one of you, any of you were able to attend, but hopefully instead of next year in Jerusalem, next year in person would be super. Enough of the Zoom thing. But I didn't know if anybody had any questions for me. Otherwise, I'll turn it over to Brian.
Look, obviously, we don't have a specific agenda today, and I guess that kind of drives some people. I am actually in conversation and talking with the Chancellor at WashU, his executive assistant, the vice, whatever she is, vice president who works for him, about coming and doing a presentation for us around what it is that WashU is doing during this time of COVID. And the question that they asked me was, do you want us to focus on what we're doing in terms of our policies with students, what we're doing as a research and medical institution, what we're doing as a community building institution, and what we hope to push out into the broader St. Louis community? And I said, I don't know. And so I thought whoever's here could help give some thoughts on how to direct that presentation that they're willing to do. They might have members of the medical department, members of the administration, members of different areas, depending what we're looking for. Any thoughts from what I said that might grab people or be more interesting than others?
It's funny, we live right near WashU and have noted so many students walking around, some with masks, some without, bunched together, and we're like, so what's the message?
I think the message is they're young, they're not going to get sick. Come on.
So from a purely personal, who takes walks and is playing dodgeball with these groups of students, I'd be curious what that message is. But I think the whole research piece would be pretty interesting.
Okay. Anyone else have any thoughts?
Hey, Brian, it's David. I think WashU's doing a lot of work on some of the rapid testing and,
Yep.
and some really cool items, and they're really part of the overall planning for vaccine distribution
Mhm.
and care. It might be interesting for them to talk a little bit about the most important pieces for community organizations around those issues.
Sure. Yeah. Great. So someone with a little more knowledge on the inside. That's good. Anything else? Okay. Well, we'll set something up. I'll definitely push out and let people know when that is happening. The only thing I had to share with everyone, because Karen Chair can't be here today, was something that came out this week, which is happening. Is it next Wednesday? Oh, in like 2.5 weeks. It is a Millstone Institute seminar on creating dynamic meetings in a virtual setting with an executive coach out of Cleveland, New York, Jennifer Cohen. It's for board members, committee members, and professionals throughout the community, how to leverage Zoom features and virtual meeting best practices to create engagement, build trust, enhance communication, and maximize decision-making. There's both a daytime and an evening session. I'm gonna put the link in the chat, but this is really someone who this is their practice. She's out of Cleveland, Ohio. She has an expertise, and if you guys have all been sitting around wondering, how do we make this more engaging? How do we make our meetings better for everyone who's on them? Check this out, and as soon as I figure out how to cut and paste the link, I'll put it in there. That's all I have. But David is on the phone. David, is there anything happening that you want to share?
Well, I think that everybody probably knows that all the federal packages have been bumped until after the election, and there's a lot of uncertainty around that. So that's what we're working through now. There's a ton of vaccine planning that's happening. Unfortunately, a lot of it is not happening at a central level from the state. A lot of it's happening in communities. Again, it's something I think that this group in particular should be considering what the role, if any, agencies want to play in helping communicate about vaccination, distribute, disseminate all those kinds of important things, and how staff is going to be looked at. I know a lot of organizations, especially state organizations like the Department of Corrections, are trying to figure out, can they make this mandatory? Can they not? Most of them are siding on the idea that they cannot make the vaccine mandatory. So those are some issues that might be worth thinking about as we move forward. I think that for us, vaccination conversations are going to be much more late December, January, early February, given the priority lists. But a lot of the groups that we work with, a lot of our clients are going to be very vulnerable. So I think something's worth a thought. And we have an election on Tuesday, by the way.
What?
Yeah, right.
I'm voting,
Anybody have any questions for David?
I'm voting for Pepsi over Coke, just to tell everybody right now.
Really? That just seems wrong.
I guess that this would be a good time to ask Karen or Scott if there's anything around the elections or anything else that they wanted to update or share.
Want to go first?
You go ahead, Karen.
I sent everybody yesterday who's on the community leadership list with law enforcement liaisons, press release on our text hate help 51555 for folks to be on the alert and to let your constituents know if they see something that is specifically extremist in nature. So guys with long guns, people with tattoos, things really out of the ordinary. This is not for general voter suppression issues and election-related voting issues that may be more civil rights. This is really around extremism. But there's been essentially an effort by law enforcement locally and our Center on Extremism researchers to be very mindful of anything that comes through so we get a really, really quick response. You cannot have a gun within 25 feet of a polling place. So somebody would have to leave it in their car or would have to stand farther away than 25 feet. It could be perceived as intimidating. It could be perceived as an assault. There are a lot of different ways to look at it. And if anybody has any inkling, any sense of hesitation, it's worth calling 911 right now. So, so there's that. I will say that there was supposed to be Saturday evening last a Proud Boys rally in downtown St. Louis that could have been significant. As it turns out, the national leadership of the Proud Boys was in St. Louis, but ended up spending most of Saturday at a karaoke bar downtown drinking. And if that is a small favor of the kind of thing we're going to see over the next few weeks, I'll be grateful. And I will tell you that we are in this surge space for at least 3 weeks after Tuesday. And after that, if facts warrant it be that way. And beyond that, I got nothing. Scott?
So by now, at least someone at your organization, whoever's been designated as your community security liaison with me, has received our emergency procedures guidelines for Election Day. And as Karen said, these are guidelines to really be used for a period. We're looking at, like Karen said, up to about 3 weeks after the election in terms of, potential continued concern. And with regards to scenarios, we will be monitoring all of our sources during Election Day. But we do urge you that if there is an incident, such as a firearms incident, any anti-Semitic or hate, incidents that occur, obviously call 911 first. That is the immediate response. We want to emphasize that. We all love to get that information, but we want you to get first responders en route. And then if you can then pass that information on to both Karen and I, either through Karen's toolkit for the hate toolkit directly to me, then we can take whatever actions would be necessary to ensure we keep our community safe. If you haven't seen that document, please reach out to your community security liaison at your organization and have them share that with you. And I believe Rick Jackaway also just put up the phone number with regards to voter issues, and that is on the emergency document as well.
Can I also say Scott also sent out the cyber awareness pieces, particularly on the password. That's just great stuff. And I know the last thing you want to do is, oh my God, I need to change my password but you really got to get into the habit of doing it. And those guidelines that Scott sent out are just sharp. So
yeah, unfortunately, the tools that are out there now are just becoming so sophisticated. They're just amazing at gathering passwords. And if your organization, I'll go ahead and put a plug in. If your organization would like to do a cyber training for end users, we've developed a cyber training for end users that's specific to your staff. That's not at the 10,000-foot view, but it's specific to the types of threats they may see. And with regards to that, we did it for JFS. It was very well received, and it does really target things like passwords. You would be amazed at, I'll just give you a tidbit, but like on social media, every one of those quizzes that you think are awesome that show you at 100% knowledge or something like that, or the 25 things that you don't know about me, every single one of those is designed together to social engineer information to basically try to figure out passwords. So, that's the kind of stuff we have to be wary of. And it's out there, and we've all looked at those and thought, oh, Beatles songs, I should do that. Or, whatever, or, I should tell them 10 things that people don't know about me. Don't. but we can deal with that stuff. The most immediate thing we're dealing with is this election, and certainly, make sure you have that toolkit phone number for ADL as well as our emergency procedures.
And yeah, Marion.
I just wanted to mention that I received an email this morning from somebody named Levy. I think it was Danny Levy or David Levy.
Yes.
It was a long email about putting in security cameras and how another Jewish institution in our neighborhood has expressed interest. And if the whole community does it, we can do it at a very good price, blah, blah, blah. So of course I sent it to Scott, and as Scott does, I had a reply within about 5 seconds. And, he said, be very cautious, and he'll get in touch with him. So, just if anyone else receives this from this Mr. Levy, pass it on to Scott.
Thanks, Marion. And that's a good point. And your community security liaison will be getting an email alert from me this morning, if they haven't already, with regards to that situation. I am going to make direct contact with this individual. As some of you are aware, we had a vendor related unsolicited communication earlier this month, and we're just trying to avert any potential problems. But the email that I just sent out will give that information and identify who that individual is, and that should help you catch that email when you receive it. And then by then, hopefully I'll have made contact.
Never boring.
No.
So obviously it's a smaller group today. I think that people are have a lot going on. There's an election next week people are focused on. There's a lot of things going on. We don't need to stay on, as we've always said, longer than the call warrants. Does anybody have anything else that they want to share, talk about, or bring up? Because this is the place for all of us. If there are things that you're concerned about, worried about, just want to talk through with one another or get an opinion on, this is that place. Does anybody have anything?
Or anything we need to look at for future topics?
Good point. Is there anything that you collectively want us to consider to try and get someone on to talk about moving forward?
Well, all right then. If you think of it as soon as we end the call, email Brian or me or Mindy, and we'll make sure that happens. Wish you all a restful early Shabbat and a good weekend. And as usual, reach out if you need anything. And hopefully next week is peaceful and results in a decision. And it probably won't, but I dare to dream. So hopefully it's peaceful for all of us and the rest of our community. So have a great restful and early Shabbat and a good weekend. And we'll see you all next week.
Thank you all. Bye, guys.
Okay.